one of my art teachers said that there's two different kinds of art out there. There's somebody who tries to do one big thing, or somebody who tries to do a little thing over and over and over and over again. And I've always liked that kind of art better, because that strikes me, there's more of a, I don't know, I just find that kind of art to be more impressive or more interesting in some way. That was a cartoonist for the school newspaper, and I kind of got in trouble by drawing some cartoons that the administration didn't like very much, which resulted in a long conversation in the school faculty meeting. I think I was hit a couple notes that they were not too happy about, hit some nerves, I should say. And then I kind of went into movies, mostly because I was frustrated my drawings couldn't move. And so I went to, as an undergraduate, I got a degree in film, and ended up getting a bunch of bachelor's degrees because it's easier than facing life. So when I was getting a degree in Japanese studies, So when I was getting a degree in Japanese studies, I ended up focusing more on film-related things. My mentor just so happened to be like the Japanese film, one of the major Japanese film scholars out there. He still is, Marcus Nornes. And with him, then I realized I wanted to go to get an MFA from Cal Arts in film also. But I always liked drawing. And the thing about making a movie is that it's very complicated and very collaborative. Even if you're an auteur, you have to rely on other people, and it's expensive. So with this, it's all me. It's all my control, and especially after working in corporate where I had very little control over things, this was very therapeutic, that this was entirely me. I was not beholden to, you know, idiotic rules from above or anything like that. This thing flew, was entirely off of my own, you know, thing. So 2013, I was working in a corporate job, and then suddenly me and the corporate job parted ways. Unexpected, but I was pretty relieved about it, to be honest. At the same time, I knew that my wife was pregnant. So I had this period of time, this summer, where I pretty much could do anything I want to, and I would not have this kind of freedom probably for the rest of my life. So I was doing things like writing and trying to keep as creative as possible, getting in touch with my kind of creative side. My friend lives up in Santa Barbara, and at the Museum of Contemporary Art there, they have a fundraiser called From Dusk Till Dawn. And it's basically where you draw for 24 straight hours as a fundraiser. And he asked me if I wanted to do that, and at that point in my life, sleep deprivation seemed sort of like a novelty, so I said, sure, why not, I'll do it. Now, as I was thinking about this, like, okay, 24 straight hours, I need a system to do this. So, and I decided on vice presidents, because basically I figured in 24 hours I would not run out of vice presidents to draw. I just didn't want to be in a situation where it's 3 in the morning and I'm bleary-eyed and I'd be like, what am I going to draw? That's mentally too taxing. It's better if you have like this straight, like, everything's set out. You can be like a robot. So okay, but vice presidents, it seems a little dry. Honestly, I can't tell you where the octopus thing came into my head. It just sort of hit me suddenly like this sort of bolt from Zeus, and it made me laugh. And so I drew one as sort of a test one. I drew a couple sketches, and it made me laugh again. So that day, I ended up cranking out in 24 hours, 22 drawings. So, which is a pretty good rate. I mean, that's including going off and getting a bowl of noodles and stuff like that. And I was so sort of in the zone that I probably could have gone on for another. I probably could have done the whole set, all 47 vice presidents. And I also knew that it was getting a great response. Like, I ended up selling 7 of them that night, which I think is about as many as anybody else that night sold. It just sort of, I knew I had something there. So I went back for the rest of the summer, and I started to draw the vice presidents and then redraw them, because when you're drawing something, trying to knock something out as quickly as possible, your style is going to be very different from if you're trying to actually make it look good. So I kind of went through and ended up drawing each vice president about 3 times until I finally got to a point where, some more than others, that I liked. Al Gore, for instance, is an incredibly hard man to draw. He's got these sort of very full feminine lips, this hawk-like nose, and not much eyebrows to speak of. He's a really hard man to draw. Yeah. Immediately after my undergraduate degree, I spent 2 years teaching teaching English in Japan, a small town north of Tokyo, with basically, call the town to be charitable. It was basically a cluster of houses and a couple convenience marts, and that was kind of about it. I generally loved being in Japan. I thought it was fascinating. It was constantly challenging. I met some great friends there. Had some really strange, wild experiences. You're 23 years old. You're making a huge amount of money at the time, simply because the exchange rate between the yen and the dollar was quite high. I lived right next to, or very close drive to Narita Airport. So I would be literally like, "Hey, friend, it's my it's a long weekend this weekend. You want to go to Korea?" "Sure." It was like that. So or we just go to Tokyo and blow a lot of money too, which was very, very easy to do. So then as 2 years were up, I was sort of done with teaching English at this particular school. It was time to move on. And so somebody gave the idea to get a degree in Japanese studies. So I did, with the idea that I'd come back to Japan, and it kind of didn't work out like that because the Japanese economy sort of cratered again about the time I graduated. So the jobs that I thought I was going to have just didn't materialize. So I sold my car and traveled around the world. I just went to Nepal. and then I ended up going back to grad school. For a long time I was calling myself a writer. And that is accurate to a degree, because I do make some money writing and I do enjoy writing. I guess you call myself an artist because, to be honest, of the stuff that I'm doing, this is what I love doing. I get probably the most direct pleasure from. The thing about writing scripts is that you never get, few screenwriters ever get the happiness of just simply writing a good script, because it's a handmade product. People don't go out and buy a script. Studios do, producers do, to make a movie. That's the end product. So people in this town can make a lot of money selling scripts that never see the light of day, and they end up angry and frequently drunk. This is sort of something that I feel like gives me a little bit more pleasure. So I guess I could call myself an artist, writer, filmmaker, teacher, dad, coffee enthusiast. Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know, does the answer to your question?